Hello everyone, welcome to Bathroom Brews. Murders at Karlov Manor spoiler season just wrapped up, so I'm bringing you my fun ranking for the 25 new commanders. I'm only looking at the main set in this video, but be on the lookout for a PDH commander fun ranking too. This is my first look at a lot of these new commanders, so let's see what we got. Kicking things off is Agris, Cost Spirit of Justice. This is a 4-mana 2/4 legendary creature Spirit Detective with double strike and vigilance. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, choose up to one target creature. If it's suspected, exile it, otherwise, suspect it. A suspected creature has menace and can't block. First looks as a commander, it seems fine. I guess you could do like a Boros Blink deck and start removing people's creatures. I think this is great in the 99 of extra combat decks, but I don't know how fun of a commander it actually would be. I'm gonna put this under kind of fun, I think. I think that's a good starting off point. Next is Alquist, Prof, Master Sloth. This is a 3-mana 3/3 Vigilant Human Detective for 1 white and a blue. When it ETBs, investigate, and then you can pay X white, blue, tap it, sack a clue, you draw X cards, and gain X life. So it's a commander that's a Sphinx's Revelation on a body that you need to sack a clue for. I love Sphinx's Revelation. I don't know how fun of a commander this is. I'll put this in fun for now. That might change, but we'll see. It's just a Sphinx's Rev on a body to me. I guess you could do some blink shenanigans. Next up is Anzrag, the Quake Mole. This is a 4-mana, 2 red and a green for a legendary creature Mole God. Whenever it becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. And then 3 double red, double green. Anzrag must be blocked each combat this turn if able. So this is a really cool card. I think people are really either like upset about it. I don't know. I saw the Twitter discourse was kind of wild about it. I think this is a fine commander. I'm sure there's some way to have every creature block this and then give it indestructible and you have infinite combats essentially. But that sounds like a 3 or 4 card combo. Honestly, this seems like a pretty fun commander. I'm going to put this under very fun. I don't know if I want to build this, but I do really like it. Next up is Aurelia, the Law Above. It's a 5-mana, 3 generic, 1 red and 1 white for a legendary creature Angel 4/4, Flying Vigilance Haste. Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia deals 3 damage to each of your opponents and you gain 3 life. So this is whenever a player, not just you. Sounds like this is great in token decks. This could be your own commander, I guess, but I don't understand like the benefit of it, right? I think there are better Boros token commanders or Mardu. Flying Vigilance Haste is great. You could make this some sort of like 4 Mirrodin Living Weapon commander, because you don't have to suit this up, but it gives you card advantage from the command zone. Well, card advantage that you can put from the command zone into play. I'm going to put this at the tail end of fun. I like drawing cards. I like Lightning Helix. Next up is Delme Streetwise Lookout. This is a 3-mana 2/2 legendary creature Human Scout. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. This seems like a really fun commander. It's a Panharmonicon, but for all those like greenies. So inspiring Overseer, Spirited Companion, Wall of Omens are the first 3 that come to mind. I'm sure there are plenty more. The Soul Sisters. It seems like this is really good with Soul Sisters. I'm going to put this under want to build. I might build this for a budget deck actually, because I think while the commander's probably going to be expensive, you could still build a really powerful budget deck just because of its effect. Next up is Atrada, Deadly Fugitive. This is a 3-mana 1/4 Vampire Assassin for 1 generic, 1 blue and 1 black with Death Touch. Face down creatures you control have 2 blue and a black, turn this creature face up. If you can't exile it, then you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. Whenever assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, cloak the top card of that player's library. Cloaking a card means you put it face down and it's like manifest, but instead of it not having ward, it has ward too. I explained that kind of weird. Look it up, it's a really cool mechanic. So this is only face down creatures you control, and you can cloak the top card of their library. I don't know how that works if you get to turn it up. I'm assuming so. I'm assuming that's why that ability works that way, right? So if you turn up a spell, you would control the spell. Honestly, this seems really fun. You have to deal combat damage to an opponent, so giving it double strike means you get 2. It's a 1/4 Death Touch, so most people aren't going to want to trade with it. And there are also plenty of ways to give this unblockable, either Rogue's Passage, Whisper Silk Cloak, or Tetsuo, the one that makes your 1 and 0 power creatures unblockable. I'm going to put this under want to build. I'm putting this definitely ahead of the last one. I think this is more interesting than just like a mono white blink deck, but I still think this is definitely a want to build commander. Next up is Ezim, Agency Chief. This is a 5 mana, 1 generic, double white, double blue for a legendary creature Archon Detective with flying. It ETBs to investigate twice. So this is actually really interesting with investigate. If you do it twice, it's 2 instances of making 1 clue. So cards like Academy Manufactor will make 2 clue, 2 food, 2 treasures if you investigate twice. Pay 1, sack an artifact. It gains your choice of vigilance, lifelink, hexproof until end of turn, or hexproof. I don't know if this is like a good commander. I don't know if this is even like a fun commander. I'm going to put it down here, I think. It's fine. I think it's good in decks, but I wouldn't want to play this as a commander. Next up is Azoni, Center of the Web. This is a 6 mana 5/4 elf detective for 4 black and a green with menace. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may collect evidence 4, which means you exile cards from your graveyard with total mana value 4 or greater. I think it's 4 or greater. If you do, create 2 2/1 black and green spider creature tokens with menace and reach. Then you can sack 4 tokens, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, and you gain 2 life. So this is a new mono black token commander. It has some token generation of its own, but it's not as good as something like Shatterfang maybe. But I don't think that's an issue, right? Because you still sacrifice any kind of token. I'm going to put this under want to build. Maybe it's recency bias. I'm going to put this... I also just love Golgari decks. I'm going to put this at the top end of want to build. No. Yes. Yeah, it's going to stay there. I like surveilling. I like drawing cards. You can do like a reanimator deck with this. It's a little bit more playable than the other Azoni, but I still like this card. Next up is Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. This is a 5 mana, 3 generic, 1 black, 1 red for a legendary creature Human Shaman. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose 1. That spell gains Death Touch and lifelink. Create a 2/2 red imp creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. And it's a 3/4. I don't know if I said that. This card is insane. So it's a 5 mana Rakdos Spellslinger commander. When I saw this, first thing was Star of Extinction, Blasphemous Act, Lightning Bolt. Anything like that where you can just deal a bunch of damage is just, it's great. I like the lifelink and the Death Touch. I have a feeling this would be like a kill on-site commander, or it's one that you hold back until you have enough mana or rituals in hand to just like do a combo turn with like Aether Flux of War. Honestly, I'm gonna put this under very fun. Spellslinger decks to me I've always struggled with because they feel very linear, at least in like Commander. In 60 card formats, I like them a little bit more. But we'll see how this does. I'm excited for it. Next up is Kell and Inquisitive Prodigy. This is a 4 mana, 2 generic, a green and a blue for a 3/4 human fairy detective. It's an adventure, so it has Tell the Suspect. It's blue and a green sorcery, investigate. You may play an additional land this turn. Okay, so it's kind of rent from the command zone. Actually from the command zone, kind of. And then it has Flying Vigilance. Whenever it attacks, destroy up to 1 target artifact. If you control that permanent, draw a card. So... I don't know. I don't know if this is like a fun commander. Again, this is really good in the 99. I guess the adventure side's really good, but I don't know if it's worth playing that in the command zone when you have like Uro. I'm going to put this under kind of fun. And again, I'm looking at these just from the command zone, not in the 99. I think this is a cool card in the 99 of a deck, but I would not play this as a commander. Next up is Clanco, Baron of Tin Street. This is a 3 mana legendary creature goblin for 2 and a red with haste. Tap, sack an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on each goblin you control. Whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a red. If you do, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. This combos really nicely with Goblin Novelist, which is an uncommon that whenever you sack an artifact, you make add a red to your mana pool, put a counter on itself. I'll have it on screen here. I don't remember the exact wording. Point is, when you sack an artifact, you get a red. And then this, whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a red. So with those 2 things out, you sack an artifact, you get a red, then you can pay the red to make the goblin, I'm pretty sure. And then you can tap this to sack an artifact so that it triggers the Novelist. Seems like a really good goblin commander. I'll put this under very fun, I think. It seems pretty fun. I like goblins. I like that it's a new take on it. It's like an artifact goblin-y deck. And, you know, I'm okay with that. Next up is Cloak's Visionary Inventor. This is a 7 mana, 5 blue and a red for a legendary creature Viashino Artificer with Menace, Ward 2, and Haste. Whenever it attacks, sack any number of other creatures, then exile the top X cards of your library, where X is their total power. You may cast any number of instant and or sorcery spells from among the exiled cards without paying their mana cost. Interesting. So this is a very expensive commander and reminds me of the Menace, not the Menace. Reminds me of the Goblin that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you make that many Goblins from Phyrexia Obi-Wan, I think. So you want to do like a Is It Tokens deck, which is pretty easy. Third Path Iconoclast, Chrompo Siege Shark, Young Pyromancer, Saheeli. I'm sure there's more. I know there's more. And then you enters, you crack in, you sack a bunch of creatures, and then you get to cast a bunch of spells from your deck. I love this card. This seems really fun. It feels like you're only get this one time though, especially for 7 mana. There's no shot that people like let this live. I think you want to probably turbo this out, or if you have ways of, I don't know if you can give, if you have creatures with Flash or Leyline of Anticipation out with this. Oh no, because this trigger, it's whenever it attacks, sack any of other creatures. Yeah, I don't think you can trigger it in the way because it's a, is it a cost? Let me know in the comments. So my thought is if you can flash in like a Phyrexian Dreadnought and just sacrifice it to this ability. I don't think that works, so I want it to, but yeah, let me know. Next up is Lazors, Wearer of Faces. This is a 2 mana, a Dimir, black and a blue, for a legendary creature Shapeshifter Detective. Whenever it attacks, exile target card from a graveyard, then investigate. Alright. Whenever you sack a clue, you may have Lazors become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn. This is fine. I'm trying to think how good of a commander this is, or how fun, rather. When I say good, I usually mean fun in this context. How fun is this? Whenever you attack, you exile target card from a graveyard, then investigate. You may have Lazors become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn. I'm going to put this at the tail end of fun. I think this could be really good, or really fun. It is a 2 mana commander, but you have to have cards in people's graveyards already to exile. I'm going to put it here. I mean, it is any creature, right? So you can self-mill, you can mill yourself and have this become a copy of other creatures in your graveyard, or creatures you exile, which is pretty neat. And it's whenever you sack a clue, so Grave Titan, for example, you can become a Grave Titan, so you get some attack triggers, or like a Frost Titan, but you're not getting any ETB, so you really want like attack triggers here. Next up is Massacre Girl, Known Killer. This is a 4 mana 4/4, 2 black menace. Creatures you control have Wither. So they deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. That's any damage, not just combat damage. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. Interesting. So all your creatures have Wither. So when opponent's creatures die, they're likely to have -1/-1 counters. They die through combat. I don't know how this works with Death Touch, because it's a replacement effect. I'm assuming Death Touch works with this for some reason, but if not, then, you know, avoid Death Touch creatures. You definitely want a lot of first. I don't know how much first strike there is in black. I think this is a fun commander, though. I'm putting this under very fun. It's black card draw for 4 mana. Oh my god. Come on. We're just going to move you this way. There we go. It's black card draw. It's a 4 mana 4/4 with menace. I think this card's going to be pretty good. I think this will be a really fun commander. I like card draw. Next up is Malik, Reforged Researcher. So there are 3 commanders on this list, and this is one of them that come in the pre-release kits, but you can't play in pre-release. It's really bizarre, but there's 2 more of these commanders. So this is Malik, Reforged Researcher. It's a 5 mana, is it 3 of red and a blue for a legendary creature, Weird Detective. Its power and toughness are equal to twice the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. The first instant and sorcery spell you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast. This is the first not fun commander. There are so many Is It Spellslinger commanders out there. This is just another one. Again, it's great in the 99. You could maybe do some sort of fling deck with this, but I think they're just better options. Next up is Niv Mizzet Guild Pact. This is a 5 mana Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green, for a legendary creature Dragon Avatar 6/6, flying, hexproof or multicolored. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards, and we gain X life, where X is the number of different colored pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. This is a really interesting Niv. Niv Mizzet Reborn, I think, was just kind of card draw on a stick for 2 colors. But this is an actual win condition, because if you have enough 2-colored permanents out, you can gain a bunch of life and deal a bunch of damage to things. Even if a Stuffy Doll or a Brash Tonder, those are 2 mana, so you probably don't want those. This seems really fun. I'm going to put this at the top end of Wanna builds. Yeah, I'm going to put this above Zoni. I like 5-color decks. I like that it cares about specifically 2 color pairs, so guild pairs. instead of just a generic 5-stuff deck, 5-color deck. And Hexproof for multicolor is pretty cool. Next up is Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. This is a 6-mana 6/6 flying trample. This is going right into my Colossal Dreadmaw deck. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. I love this. So it gets around token generation, and people just can't sack lands if they want. And they don't have to do it, right? If they don't, you just draw 2 cards. But if you have it shouldered out, or if you have... Yeah, mostly shouldered. Underworld Connect? No, it's when an opponent draws a card. I think this card's going to be pretty fun. I'm going to put this at the tail end of fun. Again, I just really like drawing cards. I like that this doesn't force people to sacrifice things. But if they don't, you get a draw, so it's a card draw engine, but it's not really worth removing necessarily, especially if you have enough stuff you want to sacrifice. It is target opponent, so you can just pick someone who actually can't sacrifice anything, or if they have creatures they want to keep, they can choose to sack them or not. I like this card a lot. Next up is Teysa, Opulent Oligarch. This is a 3-mana, 1 generic, 1 white, 1 black. For a legendary creature, Human Advisor with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. Pretty easy with like Pestilence. Whenever a clue you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black flying spirit creature token. This ability only triggers once each turn. Yeah, this seems really fun. It's a Teysa deck that isn't broken like the original Teysa. You want to deal some damage. So Suture Priest is you gain life. I'm sure there are ways to ping people in black and white with tokens entering. Sacking a clue can be anything, so it doesn't have to just be paying for its cost. So you could put KCI in this deck, or any of those black instants that say sack like an artifact to do a thing, to like usually draw cards, and you get a spirit. It is unfortunate that you only get 1 spirit a turn, so you can get it most for a turn cycle, so it'd be your turn and your 3 opponents. So it's definitely not broken, but I think that's okay, right? I don't think you need commanders that are just go infinite with a ham sandwich. And I think it's okay that limiting to this to once each turn, because it's a less powerful commander, but that means you're also going to get less hate for playing it. And I think that's okay. I'm okay with that design space. Next up is the Pride of the Hull Clade. This is a 11 mana Simic commander for 10 and a green. It's a legendary creature, Crocodile Elk Turtle. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. It has Defender. And you can pay 2 blue until end of turn. Target creature you control gets +1/+0. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Oh, and this is a 2 power 15 toughness creature. I love this card. This is going to go to the top end of Wanna Build, I think, above Nive. It's an actual interesting Simic commander. I feel a lot of Simic commanders have the issue where the identity has been ramp. So Tatiova, AC, I'm sure there are more commanders, Uro. And those don't really interest me. They become like good stuff decks that don't have a real way to win. This is just swinging in with big butts, and I'm absolutely okay with that. Next up is Tulsimir, Midnight's Light. This is a 5-mana Selesnya commander. 2 generic, a green and 2 white, legendary creature Elf Scout. Has lifelink. When it ETBs, you make a 5/5 green and white wolf creature token with trample, legendary, named Voja, Fenstalker. And whenever a wolf you control attacks, if Tulsimir attack this combat, target creature and opponent controls, block that wolf this combat if able. So if both of them attacked, you can force someone to block your wolf. I don't know how good of a commander this is, or how fun of a commander this is. This is going to be... I don't want to say not fun. I'm going to put it under not fun. I think it's the... I don't know why it's hard for me. I'll put this at the top end of not fun. I think this is probably really good in like a tokens deck, but it doesn't call out to me as a interesting commander to build around. I guess you could build wolves, but I don't know. There's just something that I'm like, not really into this. Next up is Tomic, Wielder of Law. This is a 3-mana Orzhov, 1 generic, 1 white, 1 black, legendary creature, Human Advisor, 2/4, affinity for planeswalkers, flying and vigilance. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, that opponent loses 3 life and you draw a card. So this is one of those pre-release cards again. You can see by like the little pre-release thing on the bottom there. This is an Orzhov Planeswalker Matters commander. attacks with creatures if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control. So it could also be you. I don't know how fun of a commander this is. I'm going to put this... not fun. I don't think this is a fun commander. It's great in the 99 of like planeswalker decks, but I wouldn't run this as a commander. I don't think. Yeah, that goes there. Next up is Tristani, 3 Whispers. This is a 3-mana Selesnya, so it's a green, a white, and then a hybrid green or white. Legendary creature Dryad, 4/4. Pay 1 and a green. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. Selesnya hybrid, so a green or white. Target creature gains Vigilance until end of turn. And then 2 and a white. Target creature gains Double Strike until end of turn. This, no. No. It's gonna go here. This is a boring commander to me. There's nothing great that it really synergizes with. I have no interest in building this. I don't know what decks this goes in, really. I guess maybe Voltron Commanders in Selesnya colors, but no. Next up is Vannifar, Evolved Enigma. This is a 4-mana Simic, 2 generic, a green and a blue. For a 3/4 legendary creature, Elf Ooze Wizard, at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1. Cloak a card from your hand, so you put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with Ward 2. Turn it face up at any time for its mana cost if it's a creature. Or you can put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. So this is what I'm talking about with Simic, where it's just like putting counters on things or cloaking a card. I think this can be fun, though. I'll put this at the tail end of fun. I think with this, you could do a Simic artifact creature deck. So you have Arcbound Ravager, Walking Ballista, Ornithopters, and just put counters on them each combat. Or you cloak a card from your hand and you blink it, so you could put Eldrazi into play, blink them, and just flip them. I don't know which you really want to do. Probably the Eldrazi one, let's be real. You know, put a Blightsteel down, blink it, it comes back as a Blightsteel Colossus. So yeah, I'm going to put that at the tail end of fun because of those interesting interactions. And this is the last pre-release card. This is Vodra, Jaws of the Conclave. This is a Naya, right? Yeah, that's Naya. 2 generic, 1 green, 1 white, 1 red. For a 5/5 legendary creature Wolf, Vigilance Trample with Ward 3. Whenever it attacks, you put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control, and then you draw a card for each wolf you control. So this is a mixed kindred, typal, tribal, whatever you want to call it deck, where it cares about wolves and elves. Honestly, it sounds like that could be kind of fun to build. And by kind of fun, I mean very fun to build. It is just a kindred tribal deck. However, it is elves and wolves, which is I like those kind of mixed decks, sort of like the cat dog deck, where you want to try to either find a balance or both, or you just lean into one or the other. So if it's just elves, you could do Naya Elf Ball, where you're just pumping all your elves. If you want to do just wolves, you can just do a bunch of card draw. Honestly, I think this is a really cool commander. And finally, Yaris, Roar of the Old Gods. This is a 4-mana, 4/4 Gruul, so 2 generic, a green and a red. For a legendary creature, Centaur Druid. Other creatures you control have haste, so it's going to go into Minsc and do in the 99. Whenever 1 or more face-down creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. And whenever a face-down creature you control dies, return it to the battlefield face-up under its owner's control if it's a permanent card, then turn it face-up. Hold on. Whenever a face-down creature you control dies, return to the battlefield face-down under its owner's control. If it's a permanent card, then turn it face-up. Sorry, that wording had me whack. So you take face-down creatures you control but don't own. Well, if you control it, it dies, you turn it to the owner's control. So if any of your face-down creatures and they die, they flip back up. So I don't know how many ways from this set. I'd have to look. Green and red has of playing face-down creatures. However, this is Gruul Morphs. And if there are a lot of ways to kind of flip cards face down, you know what? I would have to look. I have to see how many ways we have of doing this aside from Morph. But I'm going to put this at the middle of fun. Very fun, rather. With the caveat being I don't know how many face-down creatures we can get. So there you have it. This is my fun ranking. A lot of commanders I want to build or that seem very fun this set compared to LCI. Still, it's a pretty good mix of, kind of fun, not fun. This is where I want to see it, where there seems to be a lot of fun commanders. And I'm sure after playing some of them, these rankings will change. I'm looking at these cards for the first time. This is my snap decision on them. Let me know in the comments what commander you want to see a deck for, or what commander you're excited to build. I love a lot of these commanders, and I think all of them are going to be, I think pretty much all of them are going to find homes in the 99 of other commanders, which is great. I'm glad they're leaning towards that design space a little bit more. Alrighty, see ya!